Greetings, everybody. Well, Green Lantern Pest Dispenser. I just wanted to. I thought I would talk about a couple of comics I picked up last week, including this one, Copperhead #1 from Image. This book was originally on my back burner. I pick up a lot of comic books, and finding the time to read them all is just impossible. Some of them never even get read. And I have boxes of comics that I still have to file away, and with all the time I'm spending, trying to organize everything back here, it's just impossible for me to read everything. So some things have to go on a back burner. But then I was watching Travis's video, Oddfellow Thoughts, the video he put up, I don't know, about a week ago, celebrating his 3-year anniversary on YouTube. And he's holding some kind of a contest / raffle. And I will leave the link to his video or channel in my description box. But in that video, he also talked about being somewhat saddened over the fact that he had missed this book. It wasn't on he didn't put it on his pull list, and then he had subsequently found out it was a science fiction western type comic, and he loves his the Six Gun, and he spoke about being very excited about picking the book up. So when I had seen that, I decided to find the book and put it on the front burner because I knew I had it on my pull list. So I'm glad I did put it on the front burner, and I read it. And this is what we call a space western. It fuses, the sci-fi genre and western genre. And I think that was space westerns were first done in the early 1950s. But I'm not sure what comic book was the original first space western. I know that Charlton Comics actually produced a comic book back in 1952 or 1953 that was called by the title Space Western. But as to the original first comic that fused those two genres together, I don't know. But at any rate, we're concerned with Copperhead #1. As you can tell by the cover, it has a sort of Star Wars feel to it, with these anthropomorphic creatures such as these right here, and other creatures like that. It's kind of reminiscent of the Star Wars, the original Star Wars movie scene called the Cantina scene with the Cantina band. It's kind of the whole book is very well written. I like the writing. I like the artwork. The artwork kind of reminds me of Fiona Staples' artwork on Saga. But the fusion of the sci-fi and western together reminds me, in this particular title, reminds me of it's kind of like Gunsmoke meets Lost in Space, and they refer to it, some of the or J. Farber refers to it as kind of a Deadwood in space. But it's written by J. Farber. Scott Godlewski is the artist, and the colorist right there is Ron Riley. No relation to this famous Chicago area disc jockey from the 1950s, Ron Riley. And was he a character? I seen him a few years ago emceeing an event over here, and emceeing. For those of you dingleberries that don't know what that is, that's Master of Ceremonies, in which one of the bands that he introduced was a band from the 60s called Herman Hermits. And Herman was Peter Noon, the leader of that band, and he was, Ron Riley was emceeing that event. And, oh, I had an album up there from Hermits, and Herman, Peter Noon, he was on stage, saw me with the album, and then in between the songs, he came and picked the album up and he kissed it. I wanted him to sign it, but he kissed it. I didn't know that he was going to be signing afterwards. But anyway, I got that album in Mylar, and it's got his DNA on it. But getting back to Copperhead, this is very well written, and the artwork is, like I said, I like the artwork. It's very good, but very reminiscent of Fiona Staples' work on Saga. But at any rate, it concerns this female sheriff who was sent to an alien planet, to a lawless town, frontier town, to try to clean it up, you know, kind of like Dodge City. Kind of like Matt Dillon cleaning up Dodge City in Gunsmoke. And this character right here, who goes by the name of Bodroxophinicus. I'm surprised I can even remember the name and how to pronounce it. Bodroxophinicus. At least I think I'm pronouncing it properly. He provides some comic relief, and he's rather a little bit upset because he was the deputy and he was overlooked for the position of sheriff for a woman from another planet. So well, she comes here, and of course, in her first adventure, there's a feuding family, you know, kind of like the Hatfields and McCoys, but listen, I can't go any further than that. I'll be spoiling the book, but something happens and she has to be called out there to stop the feuding, you know, and the in-family fighting and stuff like that. But then later on, something happens again that's a little bit more serious. So she has to investigate that, and it's a great read. I can't say enough about it. I highly recommend it. I think this is going to be like the next Saga, the next Six Gun. I just wish it wouldn't have. The only thing that I don't like about it that much is the fact that it has such an overwhelming, for me anyway, an overwhelming Star Wars feel to it. But the fact that it's fusing the science fiction and Western genres makes it a very, very interesting book to read. So I'm looking forward to the whole series. And I hope it's going to be a hit. Copperhead from Image, #1. I would highly recommend it. If I were you, I'd pick it up. And then another book that I pick up, this is another indie. Excuse me. This is from Boom Studios, called Wild's End. This is a solid anthropomorphic tale that, holy moly. Now I'm like Travis, choking on that peanut. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, you'll have to go and see that video. You'll have to go to his channel and search for that video. It's about a week ago that he posted that. 3 years on YouTube. As I said, I will leave the link to his channel or the that particular video in the description box. But anyway, back to Wild's End from Boom Studios. Let's see. Written by Dan Abnett. Illustrated and lettered by I.N.J. Colbard. This is an anthropomorphic tale that takes place in the English countryside of the 1930s, and it's about this hamlet that's inhabited by all these, this quiet little hamlet inhabited by all these strange and bizarre and eccentric comical creatures. Not all comical, but some. And the serenity of their quiet little hamlet is suddenly disturbed by the arrival of something sinister. And the adventure begins there. And it's great. I don't want to say too much and spoil it. But we have a drunken fox and his sidekick, his comical sidekick. They are kind of wanderlust individuals. And then we have the hairy mare. I think he's the hairy mare. Let's see here. I can't remember. But anyway, we have strange little pigs. Oh well, it's. Let me show you some of the artwork. I have no particular overwhelming, great love for the artwork, but the artwork quite nicely fits the type of tale that it is, however. And the story is so well written. It's one of those instances for me, anyway, where I'm not that overwhelmed by the art, but I am overwhelmed by the story because it's so well written that the artwork doesn't even matter to me that much. And that rarely happens, because if the two don't click, I'm not really that happy with it at all. But in this case, it's such a great read, great story, well written. And as I said, the artwork is not bad. It fits the story pretty good, but it's just not artwork that I'm personally attracted to that much. But it's something that I can get used to very quickly because the writing is so good. So this is another one that I would, highly recommend. Wild's End from Boom Studios. Oh, it's got a variant cover by David Peterson. David Peterson, who did the oh, for goodness gracious sakes, what the hell is the name of that? I can't remember the name of that book that he did. Well, anyway, wait a minute. Let me see if I can find a copy of that book I'm talking about. I might have it back here. One of those situations where I rarely get off of my butt. Oh, Luck of Lucks. Mouse Guard. How could I forget Mouse Guard? I had this one actually. So this is Mouse Guard: The Dark Ghost, signed by David Peterson. Here, no, I had it signed by him at in 2006 at the Chicago Comic Con. So here's another Mouse Guard from Free Comic Book Day. Cover, David Peterson. But at any rate, he does one of the variant covers for Wild's End, and I have no idea what that cover looks like. So that's that. And oh, also I picked up Steve Ditko's newest comic book, Mr. A. Now, this is all black and white, and it's not available through previews. You can get it available through Robin Snyder. You'd have to Google Robin Snyder. And well, let me show you some of the interior artwork. It's not, you know, Steve Ditko of the 1960s or even 70s or 80s, but he's still got a flair, some kind of a flair, you know. And there's a story also in the back. The artwork that I just showed you was from the lead story, which is called, the lead story is called Mr. A. Mr. A first appeared in Wally Wood's Whitson magazine #3 in 1967. And I have that issue somewhere. The last story in here was originally or previously published in 1973, and that contains the origin of Mr. A, and I think that's why they might have included it in this comic. Let me show you some artwork from. Oh wait, that's not the origin of Mr. A. I'm sorry. That's coming next time. The origin of Mr. A. This is some of the artwork from that story, Mr. A, from 1973. Now, those of you not familiar with Mr. A, this whole comic reflects Steve Ditko's objectivist philosophy, the objectivist philosophy of Ayn Rand. It's very interesting to me because I like Steve Ditko, I like his writing and artwork. So, like I said, this is nothing compared to what the mainstream work that he did, you know. So this comic book won't be for everybody, but I do have an interest in Ayn Rand's philosophy. I've been, you know, reading some of her work, but needless to say, she's a very controversial figure. But if you have an interest in Steve Ditko, then this is something that might interest you. Black is black, there is no gray. That's Mr. A. Black is black, there is no gray. That's Mr. A. Now, I gotta show you something here. Oh, brother. I have a bunch of packages here to show you. See this? This is exactly how I received this pile. I had these 2 boxes come in the mail as well. But this is how I received this pile. It had 2 rubber bands. This section here was banded together, and then this section down there was banded together. So anyway, you know, I took them off, and I'm going through the packages to see, you know, checking the tracking numbers to see what it, you know, so I can check off what packages I got from what seller, and I don't have to be looking for those packages. And I went through that one, and then I came across this one. Seriously, it had no label on it. I looked at the package underneath. It's got a label, but there's no label on this. So I opened it, and to make sure that it, you know, belonged to me. And I saw comic books inside, and I knew it belonged to me. And I checked the comics. They were all okay. Thank goodness nothing was wrong with the comics. And I knew where it came from as a result of seeing those comics. And then I'm going through the rest of the stack like this. And look, I found the label. There it is, right there. Unbelievable. A minimal amount of tape. And I mean, I'm surprised that with this minimal amount of tape, it won't even stick to the package. I'm surprised that I actually got it. Because this could have came off anywhere, and I would have never got the package. And then the seller would have told me, well, I sent it to you. But that's what happens, you know. Now I got to contact the guy and tell him what happened so he doesn't do that again. You know, when I send a package, you know, I do the same thing what this guy does. I don't want to show you my name on there and everything, but he puts tape all the way across the whole label. 2-inch tape, packing tape, all the way across the whole label. If it isn't a self-sticking label, then you got to use tape and completely cover the label with it. So I don't know, man. I just thought that was interesting, man. I mean, you know, so it must have came off, you know, at the local post office. They knew where to send it to. So I'm just lucky it didn't come off someplace else, in another state, in another sword facility. So I just thought that that was pretty interesting. I never had that happen before. Never. But I'm glad I got it. So, well, that's about all. I just want to upload this short video, and actually my short videos always get long anyway. But I'll unpack this stuff and then I'll show you what it was that I got. Well, you know, I'll show you really quickly what I picked up in the no label package. This was a very inexpensive pile of comics. These were all like $3 and pretty nice grade. I mean, all very good, fine condition to very fine. This, I would have to say, is in very fine condition right here. It is Jimmy Olsen's Pal 101. And I'll tell you later why I picked that particular comic book up in another video. Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen 111. These are still inexpensive to get, Superman's Pal, Jimmy Olsen. If you would like to have some Silver Age comics, look for Jimmy Olsen, because you can still probably pick those up at a reasonable price. 108. Jimmy Olsen 114. And then I love this cover. Jimmy Olsen 115. What did I say this was? Did I say this was 114 or 115? This is 114. This is 115. And I like this cover with Olsen and Aquaman suffering, and Superman with a nice smile on his face, you know, taunting them with the water. They're dying of thirst, and he's taunting them with the water. Survival of the fittest. So I guess if this package would have got lost somewhere and somebody else would have picked these books up or something, it wouldn't have been that big of a loss. At only $3 a piece. So 3, 6, 9, $15. But still, you know, I mean, crying out loud, you know, you don't pay for something. You don't want to pay for something and then not receive it because the seller did something stupid like put a minimal amount of tape on the label that's not a self-stick label. Ay. At any rate, so that's that for now, and we'll all see you next time. Till then, live long and be well.